Welcome to Game Crash, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, and our code is this: to make all things more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. I'm Dan, my pronouns are he, him, and today we are joined by a very special guest. This is an artist who I have pretty much been obsessed with since their second cover out in the market. Someone very close to me, Tim Daniels, was like, hey, you want to make sure you follow this artist because you're going to love their work. And it was their second cover, which was for Bleed Them Dry from Vault Comics. Since then, Joshua Swaby has gone on to work for Marvel Studios, Marvel, DC, Vault, Image, Entertainment Weekly, and many others. Today, we are joined by Joshua themselves. How are you?
I'm doing really good. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
I've wanted to have you on the show for such a long time. I'm a huge fan of your work.
Thank you.
And I asked you before if I could share this, but when I got to meet you the first time, I was very nervous, and I was sitting.
Yes.
I was sitting with my friend Steve Orlando in New York for Comic-Con, and his table was next to yours, and I was like, "Oh, that's Sway." Like, I follow him. I follow them on Twitter. Like, their work is like some of the best covers in the industry. And Steve was like, just go talk. Like, it's not hard. And I was like, well, but then your family came up, and your family was so excited to see your work and talk about you and tell anybody who walked by about your work. And like, that has stuck with me. The energy that they brought to that Comic-Con has stayed with me till today. And I told you beforehand, like, it's one of my favorite memories from doing all of whatever this is for me. It was just genuine joy of seeing someone else like be happy for someone following their dreams. So I've been so excited to actually get to talk to you about all of this since then.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know how much you know about me, but I am a hard-hitting journalist. So I do start all of my interviews off with a pretty tough question. So I hope you're ready.
Okay, cool.
What is your favorite sandwich?
What are my favorite sandwich? Damn. I'm very basic. Normally turkey, a turkey sandwich. It has to have lettuce, tomatoes, a little black pepper, a little like salt and vinegar. What else? And just on a hero roll. I don't eat sandwiches as often, but that's normally my main thing if that's the case. And that was normally my main sandwich whenever, like, when school had like a field trip or anything, and I'll go to the bodega and basically get that as my order. So
that's how I know you're from New York, the hero. I was like, all right, I can always clock someone from how they say hoagie. It's fine. You're allowed to be wrong. So getting to watch your career grow since that second cover has been mind-boggling for me, because you've always been incredible, but just getting to watch your kind of portfolio grow from your social media has been incredible. And now you have made your own art book. So you are currently crowdfunding on Zoop for Swayonce, the mini art book by Sway Art. Wow. Not even from a little while ago, when I checked it earlier, you have doubled what you wanted.
Yeah.
Did you hit the thing a day, right?
Huh?
You hit your mark in like a day-ish, right?
Yes, the first time it was when the fund happened, it almost hit the 5K, and then from there it just been growing and growing, and now it's like in 10K, and for me, I'm just like, people really want the art book, and it's really just like surprising, because I'm just like, I don't know, I think it's maybe because I'm such a person where I know that I'm very talented, but there are times where even when I show off my work or, show my work and stuff, I'm like, I don't know if I'm that capable still, or if sometimes I have a lot of doubts in my mind and stuff. But seeing that is just like, wow, there are people who do really love my work and stuff.
Yeah, so. And you're human. Like, you're absolutely allowed to have your own doubts, but like, have you seen like the Venom cover you did, the like I can talk all like I have so much of your art around at my house. Like I'm just there's something about the way you do things that like nobody else
Thank
does.
you. Thank you.
How did you actually get started with art? Like what made you want to pursue this certain version of art?
Well, I think the main, of course, the cliche that many like artists will say is like, I've been drawing since I was a kid, but really, I really was drawing since I was a kid, and I was really into, comics, and I was really into a lot of things in terms of pop culture, and from there, art was something that I was always like keen on, especially at the time. Like my mom didn't really know that I was going to be an artist, but my sister knew from the many times as a kid when I was always drawing on paper and stuff. And she saw something in me. As to my mom, a bit later on, she realized that there was something also. And then from there, I've just been stuck ever since. I always knew the career path that I wanted to be an artist and stuff. And I wanted to do something like in the industry. But it gradually sort of, came to that focal point that I wanted to, go first on doing like stuff for comics and stuff. I remember when I was a kid and Toys R Us used to have like I think they had like a little like part where they used to have like comics and stuff. It was really early back then. They had like comics and books and stuff and everything. And I remember my grandmother buying me the first volume for Ultimate Spider-Man. And from there, I remember just reading it and just being so amused by it and just seeing the work and stuff. And from there, I got really interested in looking into comics and being into comics from the live action movies and stuff. So that's also has been inspired me. So yeah.
It's interesting to hear how people get started in that. And I'm also
Mhm.
curious. I know a lot of your work is digital, but what do you find yourself working on when it's not like a project for work? Like, are you still doing physical when it's just for you, or are you doing all digital now?
I still do all digital. I am slowly trying to, break a little bit more into like doing pen and ink a little bit more, or doing more in my sketchbook, because I think because as now get into this career field, I've just been doing a lot of digital. So I used to don't always do a lot of digital. I was more into like traditional work and drawing on my sketchbook or doing a lot of watercolor or Copex. Um, and now I think with me doing the commission stuff, like the sketch commissions, it sort of helped me back to like kind of do stuff digitally and do stuff traditionally simultaneously.
Mhm.
So it kind of helped me like break out, just to be able to like have my brain be able to like work on things on paper, and then when I'm on digital, there's another mindset of me to know that okay, that there's I can able to control Z in certain stuff, and I'm able to manipulate things and everything. So, yeah.
And I this your art book. I know you did like a small run of like ones you printed yourself, and you were bringing them to cons and stuff.
Yeah.
What graduated that from something you were just doing like kind of like this, but then you were like, I'm gonna go all out and do a whole campaign to make like a hardcover and everything.
I think it was mainly because I did the art book exclusively for New York, because I was like, you know what? Well, there's people that are there and that I probably know who will be willing to be able to like buy it and stuff. And then and I also too always had that question, that will I ever like do an art book and stuff and everything? And I was like, yes. And then the me doing it in New York Comic Con was more like a test run a
Mhm.
little bit. And then I saw that people were interested in stuff, and I also bought a few copies more when I had to go to London too, and that also like sold a little. So I then realized and thought about it. It was like, you know what, there are also probably other people and other like fans who can't be able to like go to cons
Yeah.
and stuff, and would like to have like a sort of book that shows like a sort of collection and stuff. So I was like, you know what, let me go ahead and do a crowdfund, and let me um make this something official and something that people will actually have and hand from outskirts of not just the states and stuff, because I do have fans from outside the states. So yeah.
Yeah, and clearly you have a lot of fans from how well this has gone so
Yeah.
far. But
Yeah.
even though it's been so successful, it's something that I think about a lot with things like Kickstarter and Zoop and things like that,
Mhm.
that it is a very scary thing. It's you're being very vulnerable, that you're putting your art out there and you're asking like, hey, if you like this thing, come support it.
Mhm.
For you, like you are, I'm speaking for me, you seem very modest. Like if I was you, I would be the most annoying fuck on planet Earth, because the skills you have are
Mhm.
unbelievable. I would be so annoying if I could do what you could do. But you are just so kind. I would be like, fucking look at this. But we're very different. But for you, when you were approaching the Zoo campaign, what kind of fears did you have about kind of just being like putting this out to a larger audience than just like something like a con?
I thought that, I don't know, I think there was a lot of instances where I think it was me worried because, for one, social media is not like how it was in terms of my engagement and
Hmm.
stuff. So I was really like fearful, like I don't know if people are gonna really like, are people gonna really engage to it? And then I also had also doubts, like, in terms of just the title, should I still stick with the title? And then I was also thinking, like, is the work really like, do people really go up for my work? Even though as much as I will post and stuff, sometimes I still have like, I feel like, I feel like I can do a little bit better in terms of stuff. But it was a lot on my mind, and I was just like, you know what, I took the ride. I was just like, let me just post it. If the goal didn't reach, if the goal didn't reach, then I'm like, all right, I tried my best. Or in terms of, if people still didn't wasn't feeling it, then I was like, all right, then I guess I probably have to find another way in terms of trying to still engage with more people to be able to like my work and
Hmm.
stuff. So there was a lot, and I think from now seeing it pass through with 5K, I was just like, it was just, I really couldn't believe it in terms of it, because I was just like, wow, people are willing to be able to um, purchase my work, and to see the sort of growth that I have and stuff. So I definitely feel really humbled and very thankful that you know people are taking a chance for me. So yeah.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to hear that you even thought about changing the cover, because I think the cover
Mhm.
is I mean, the art is beautiful, but I think it's so bold with the blue. I think it's like it's such like a statement piece that it's like very bold. And I
Yes.
love that. I love when your art is put on like a very bright background. What made
Yes.
you want to go with the blue for this cover?
So there was a lot of thought, because the first cover, when I did it, for the first edition,
Hmm.
I was like, because it was the thought of that cover wasn't as like really thoughtful. It was just more like, okay, I need to put a cover
Yeah.
on it before Comic Con. And then, as now as I, from taking the time and thought about it, I was like, okay, I really want for this cover, because I had a moment in terms of the last cover to have, because I was, I wanted a really like black girl, really like, badass looking, because I don't really see it as much in, in a lot of covers and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted this one to be like, for this next cover to be something in terms of something bold and something that felt sort of feminine, but also very like powerful. So I think for me, and then it also goes to add on in terms of like the fashion-esque that I really love and are into. So I wanted to put that into the cover and stuff. So yeah.
That's
So I would say like it's very like and especially because she's wearing like latex, like a really kind of latex suit. I also thought in terms of like for her like a sort of like dominance and stuff. Yeah.
And it is an interesting dynamic because it has like that. It has the fashion vibe because of the way the entire outfit is designed, but it also has that superhero element with the cape and all of that stuff. But I think it's
Yes.
like, I think it is a perfect like blend of like what a lot of your art has to say.
Thank you.
Which is why like it is such a bold cover that I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I cannot wait to have this on like my coffee table.
Yeah.
Now talking about fashion, I've been, one of my favorite things about you is your love
Yes.
of Beyonce and
Yes.
Lady Gaga.
Yes.
You have drawn characters with similar like fashion vibes and things like that and use inspiration from different characters.
Yes.
Is there a character that you haven't gotten to draw with a Lady Gaga fashion piece that you really want to get to at some point?
Um, that's a good question. Honestly, when I think when the what's it called, the Joker 2 thing happened, I'll be doing a little bit more fan art in terms of putting more inspirational kind of looks of how Lady Gaga would look like if she was, more, because I did it with her with the classic suit.
Yeah.
So I do also want to do more in terms of her face and stuff and put in her
And heart.
in
Oh
Harley Quinn
yeah.
style. Yeah. So that's something that I'm thinking probably later on down the line in the future. So yeah.
And one thing I really found interesting about this art book is that you're including some of your like sketches and things we don't normally get to see. And one that has stuck out to me and I'm very excited to get to look over is some of your, I don't know if this is what you're going for, but like body study sketching. Because it's a lot of different body types we don't normally get to see.
Yes.
Especially in comics and things like that, like men who are not like super like just muscle, they're like bigger dudes. And I was like, I
Right.
love this because again, love your style, but getting to see different body types is huge to me. Is this something like you want to do more of in your art, or are we going to see like more of this in your sketches in the book?
You're gonna see more in the sketches in the book and more into my art. I think because mainly when I'm doing something that's not like licensed, like for example, Marvel and DC, then there's a certain like it has to look like a certain body type, which sometimes I'm just like, I don't think every male is that shredded sometimes, and especially when it comes to like their uniforms and stuff. Or if I'm seeing like a type of woman and I know that they are active, but some of them do have hips, or some of them do have pouches and stuff. Like for example, when I did my Storm cover, the one with when she has like the white thing when she's like naked, I added a little pouch belly because I feel like Storm, she has to be quite thick. So but yeah, it's me whenever I do something that's in terms of just like less more into like not Marvel DC, then I'm able to open up to be able to do different more shapes and stuff. But yeah, but when it comes to the sketchbook and stuff, I wanted to add more, body types and stuff that, I can feel a bit, be able to be comfortable with, but also to show that it's just not one type of body type. There's so much more, especially more in terms of like being able to put in fashion in a sense. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I am, again, something you are well known for in your art is how hot it is.
Yes.
Listen, you draw some sexy art.
Yes.
how do you approach that with covers? Like, how are you like, what is your idea behind posing and things like that? Where do you get your ideas for something like if you're doing a Wonder Woman cover, where do you
Mhm.
start to be like, this is how I want to display my ideas?
It's interesting because sometimes and it's more so like an idea or visual thought in terms of um like where do I want to go for in terms of like that certain cover.
Mhm.
Um like I think for example, um when I did, I think the latest Wonder Woman cover, where it was just like only like her, just a portraiture, you know. I really honestly, I've seen so many covers of her just doing dynamic stuff and everything. And I felt like for me, I wanted to do something that was more like, I guess, personal and more like something that comes to her personality side,
Is that the
which, you know,
one where it's she doesn't have her head in her hands, but her arms are up, if I recall correctly, right?
yes,
It is such an intimate photo. Her arm is like up like this, like towards her.
yes,
It's a very
yes.
intimate posing.
Yes, yes. And to be honest with you, from that pose, I was really like, especially from the thumbnails, I was looking to a lot of like fashion photo shoots and stuff.
Mhm.
I was looking at a lot of like, the close-up shots that a lot of like, celebs would normally do and fashion photographers would normally like take pictures of. So I was really thinking on that to give like a sort of like intimate look into her. Um, so it's sometimes, I always, try to do something that, the other like covers or other artists are doing the same, but I want to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I always try to be a bit more ambitious and stuff. Another example would be like the Zatanna cover that I did.
Oh,
Yes, I
that is a
really
hot cover. Like,
and for that, I I had a thought like, I know there's probably people who probably want me to see me do like more, like a little bit more interior stuff and something that's not just always just like fashion-esque. So I wanted to include a bit of more of the horror-esque that I, am interested in. So, for that, I really wanted to convey for that cover, like Zatanna being exhausted, but also, she's like sort of like in her sort of secret layer of her workplace. And, at the back, there's like demons and monsters who are like awaiting to try to, come after her. So for her, it's like, oh, like again. So for me, it was just like, it was a lot in terms of just like, I want to, put certain like aspect of like me doing, like in fashion, also incorporating things that I also like, horror
mm.
or sense of different genres and stuff. So yeah.
The posing in that one is incredible. Like, I just think the posing of it all is so beautiful. And the thing you mentioned about the background is also interesting
Mhm.
because, like, you have the horror elements in that, and there's another
Yeah.
picture of yours. It's magic, but I think it's based on the Anya Taylor-Joy
Yes,
look.
yes. It was just very much a fan art because I was just
The
like, hey, let me
background,
do a
the
yeah.
background of that one is mesmerizing because it's
Thank
like
you. Thank
demons,
you.
but it's like it's in a color shape. It's like it's so like I can't describe it in words. Like if you're listening, you've seen it. So go if you
Mhm.
haven't, go look. It's out there. I will put it on the page. But with those, I also follow you closely. So I know
Mhm.
you're a Silent Hill fan. I know you're a Resident
Yes, I
Evil
am.
fan,
Yes, 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 I
and
am.
I found you because of horror. Do you want to? Would you ever veer more into doing like more graphic horror covers? Or are you more interested in horror that is like more sexy?
No, it's gonna be both. I think I would say like currently right now, um the poison ivy cover that's taking me so long. But I'm being very ambitious because I want to do something which for that cover to show the sort of like horror-esque of like plants and stuff and how it consumes, you know, ivy, but also like from in terms of like grotesque in their face and stuff, or the hands are coming out of the weeds and stuff. So that's something that from that cover, and also in the future covers for her that I want to incorporate. But you will definitely see. I'm like I just need the time and need
Hmm.
that headspace to be able
Yeah.
to really do more like horror like fan art stuff.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I've been thinking about it a lot. Currently I've been thinking about drawing Maria from Silent Hill and trying to do like studies and certain scenes from
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2 and stuff. But I don't know. It's just like it's like I don't know what's holding me back because I can do it, but at the same time, just like, I really also want to kind of perfect it and show a different side that I normally don't always do. So, and
I,
which is why for the Zatanna cover, I'm slowly bringing that, but
yeah.
still, you know, put in what everybody seems to know me as in terms of my work with the sexy and the fashion cast.
And
So
I do
yeah,
think you're a Zatanna cover. Do you do your own colors? I think so, right?
yes,
I
I
do
do.
think your color palette on the Zatanna one is it does show that it's showing it has a lot more it does have the horror palette more so like it's a lot more grimy instead of like
Yeah.
bright and I
Mm-hmm.
I see like I see it. And again, like horror is my bread and butter. Like that's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
here for.
Yes.
Like I
Yeah.
love it. So seeing you do more of that would be so cool for me
Yes.
personally. But I would not mind when Silent Hill 2 comes out if there is a pyramid head, even if he's sexy from you. Like I wouldn't mind seeing that on my timeline. Um you're something that I've also seen you do in like I think it's in
Mhm.
commissions. You've been I don't know if it's redesigns or you're doing just like commissions of different X-Men characters.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
there has been a couple of costume redesigns.
Yes.
As someone who is into fashion and things like that,
Mhm.
is and this isn't I don't want to shoot your chances for anyone. Is there a certain team or a certain character that you would love to just get your hands on, even for like a single issue, to get to redo their costume? Like you just want to have your own version of that character.
Um, Electra. I
Oh.
don't. Yes, Electra is someone that I've been thinking constantly in terms of doing a redesign. I know everybody right now, and for her issue right now, she's taken the mantle
Mhm.
for but I feel like she needs a really like a new design for her that of course still incorporates the red, but something that's still, different and stuff. So that's been a character that I have deeply kind of think about in terms, and I've, you know, drawn her a lot even before like when I hit my career because I was drawing her a lot around college and stuff and trying to like figure out what I wanted to do with her design. And then, I think sooner or later, I'll probably get time to be able to like see what I can come up with on her look. So yeah,
I would love to see that.
yeah.
Um, Now, my last question is more
Hmm.
self-indulgent than anything.
Sure.
Um, your Starfire was one of my favorite covers in the past. I don't know how long.
Thank you.
I love your look for her. I love everything you like her facial structure, her stature, like her demeanor, everything about that picture is like how I imagine Starfire in my mind.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
I'm a huge like literally the cat that's sitting right there is named Corey. There's statues up there.
That's
It's my
cool.
my fiance's favorite character and all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I haven't I know you do covers, and this is purely for me. In the future, would you ever want to explore doing interiors? This is
Period.
only
A lot of people have asked me this, even editors and stuff, and the also the questions I always.
because it's
Um,
scary. I think for me,
it it's
yeah.
it is very scary. Well, I've I've done it. I've done it a lot as a kid, and then I've
Mm,
done it while I was in college, and college really burnt me out in terms of doing interiors because for one, I remember from my senior year, I had David Mazzucchelli as one of my teachers. Yes, for SVA.
no biggie.
And and he was really like strict and very nitpicky in certain like points of how
Mhm.
interiors and how storytelling should be. And, from there, I realized, you know what? I'd rather just do, cover art
Yeah.
because I think I'm able to, um, do something for one in just one illustration, and that's really it. And I to tell you this, I have a story that I've been wanting, and and I've worked on it from college, but I still have that constant thought of that story of to be able to do it. But I feel like it may have to be a time later in the future
Yeah.
where it's on my own time, and it's just something where I can be able to just do it and then just show it to people and start promoting this stuff. But I think
And
for right now, it's I'm just gonna stick with like covers
listen, I'm
and
not
doing
I'm not
stuff.
going to complain. Do
Yeah.
you write as well, or is like even if it's just on your own, is that something you're interested in?
I did. I have. I used to sort of write, and I still sometimes kind of write a little bit, and I still have stories in my
Hmm.
mind, and I sometimes will sometimes jot down. But
Interesting.
I think for me, it's just I think I don't know. Maybe I'm just like I just want to perfect me being the best cover artist,
I
and doing like other stuff for in terms of just like maybe hopefully doing like game like character designs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think for me doing interiors and doing like my own story will have to be in my own time where I feel like okay, I'm ready to do it and not have a deadline.
I like that mentality though, because like if
Yeah,
you I like the when I'm ready type of
yeah,
approach.
yeah.
I did lie though. I said that was my final question, but
Oh, go
I do have one
ahead.
more because you and I
Yeah,
do
go
have
ahead.
a very similar hobby, and that's
Yeah.
Tekken. It has
Yes.
been some time since the release of 8. Who is your main now?
Oh, Lily. Lily
Still
has been my.
Lily?
Oh yes, it's Lily. It's Lillian
Interesting.
and Eddie. But I'm been
I
playing a lot of Lily.
I
A
haven't gotten
lot.
to play as Eddie yet. I had to delete it because I had so much other stuff on the
It's
system.
fun. Eddie is easy because for one, he does have um a control where if you press X multiple times, you're able to do a string and do a
The,
combo.
the kick. The
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I don't normally, I try not to do that whenever I like do like matches and stuff. So I kind of know like other like sort
Does
of
he
combos that he does and stuff.
does he still control similarly to that he did in my head I'm always going to say 3, but like does he still have that
Mhm.
same
He's a very
he's
easy,
agile
open,
too.
yep, easy, welcoming
Yeah.
character.
Yeah, I
Um,
can't complain. I'm a Yoshimitsu like since day 1 I've been Yoshimitsu.
oh, you mean Yoshi players? Very nice, but scary to to
Yeah.
play as.
Yeah.
And
King
yeah,
players are probably my worst enemy. Those are the ones that I'm like, I'm fucked. As soon as the match starts, I'm like, all right, never. I'll just put the controller down.
yeah. So
Um,
right now, I'm trying to perfect Lily and stuff. I thought before I thought Lily was a bit hard for me, but I think maybe because the controls are a bit better, and maybe because I'm older and I'm like, okay, I can figure things out a little bit,
mm,
that I'm able to know certain parts of like her combos and stuff. But they unfortunately, well, if you come back to it, they did sort of update it and change certain things. So I've heard that they nerfed her a little bit, and I need to figure out what are certain things that they nerf, so I can be like, okay, when I go back online, I don't need to do that combo and stuff. So yeah.
because they killed my usual. They R.I.P. Heihachi. Um, I mean,
Yes.
I like Rainier, but like, she's never gonna be her dad. He's the
That's
worst.
true. That's true.
He's
But
the worst.
I heard she's
She's
also really good.
great.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
awesome, but like, he's just the biggest piece of shit, and I just loved him.
yeah,
Like he
yeah.
had no time. He threw his kid off a fucking mountain, then he could raise 2 bears in his spare time instead. So like,
Hmm.
gotta give it to him. But this is was incredible. Thank you for taking the time
No
out of your
problem.
day to
Yes,
talk to me. Where
yes.
can people find you to follow your work?
So my Instagram is sway_art. My Twitter is jswayart. And I have a Kara. Hold on just a second. And the same thing, swayart21. And yeah, I think those are the main three that I like normally kind of use and stuff. So
I was gonna say, do you have anything coming out other than your book that people should be picking up? But like, you have 9,000 covers for every book.
I've been asked to do a X23 cover, and then I'm working on something for Magic the Gathering. That I have
shit.
to get onto. I did a card for them last year, and then I'm doing something for them else with, because they collaborated with Marvel and they wanted me to do something with another character. So I'm working also with them, and yeah, just covers and that and stuff. So.
You did a board game artwork.
Yes,
What was
I
it
did. Unmatched Games, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
So we had somebody, we covered a board game thing in Philly, and I was like, oh, that's Sway's art.
Mhm.
And I was just excited to see it. Board games confused the hell out of me, but I was like, yeah. And we played it, and I was like, I'm good. It's like,
It's funny because I bought it and I haven't even touched it or played with it. I just gave it to mom. I was like, Mom, I did this, and she was like, oh, very nice, and she has it. So we haven't even try to play with her or anything. So I'm like, well, I did something. I did a board game, which is really cool. So.
She's proud of you. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
You can find us at gatecrashers.fan, where we post all of our reviews, analysis, essays, podcast interviews, and everything under the sun. We will see you next week.